I'm Missy, and this year my family and I traveled to Colorado for a little getaway. I didn't exactly set out with the intention of turning this trip into a video, especially considering the type of videos I usually make on this channel, but Colorado is so beautiful. And honestly, this journey was pretty life-changing, so I wanted to get to share it all with you. With that, let's go hit the road. On the first day of our journey to the mountains, we made our way through the state of Kansas.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
We had one stop to make before we could really get our trip going, and that was the Oz Museum. You know, the Wizard of Oz, Wicked, those classic ruby red shoes. Though this museum wasn't initially on our list of stops, I'm so glad that we decided to go on an impulse. From an original signed copy of the book, to life-size wax figures, to collectibles like this shirt. This place literally had it all. After my family and I had filled our brains to the brim with Wizard of Oz trivia, we wanted to fill our empty stomachs too. So we stopped at this cute place called Toto's Tacos. I don't have any photos myself from our visit, except these rockin' bathroom signs and sticker collage doors, but I found some online. And oh my goodness, if you ever decide to pay a visit to the Oz Museum, I 10 out of 10 recommend stopping at this taco shop. With our minds and our stomachs filled, we stopped at a park where we saw the absolute cutest baby turtle in the whole world, but it was pretty camera shy. And then we hit the road again. As we made our way to Colorado, the weather was absolutely mind-blowing. There was a beautiful sunset on my left and a crazy lightning storm on my right. And as crazy as it was breathtaking. There was even a double rainbow. That's gotta be a good omen right there. By the time we got to our cabin, it was like pitch black, 2 a.m., you know the drill, and I was fast asleep. But I was awake enough to take some photos of where I'd be resting my tired eyes during this trip. Room tour! I'm just kidding. I didn't actually film a room tour, but here are some photos I took before I hit the hay. The sun was up, and it was time for our adventure to begin again. Now, I did actually film a little bit here. It is so incredible and beautiful out here. Look at all the trees. Like, they've got a little trail, and you can walk down here, and boom, there's a fire pit. I actually don't have shoes on. This is not very wise. I think my phone's, like, broken. Some wildlife. You see him right there? Oh, he ran away from me. Yeah, I totally scared that chipmunk. But there wasn't enough time to keep searching because we were hitting the road again. And oh my gosh, those mountains are so much prettier when you're awake to admire them. After our scenic cruise, we arrived at our next destination, Woodland Park. And more specifically, the Dinosaur Resource Center. Rex, look, it's your brother. This spot was especially special to me because I have memories of being a small child and being slightly scared but amazed of this place. This museum was so interesting, and we learned a lot about fossils, including a trick to tell if the bones on display are casted or real. You lick them with your tongue. And if your tongue sticks, then it's a real fossil. But please don't try that at home at your local museums. Please. At the gift shop, they had slightly disturbing but beautiful pinned butterflies and insects. Oh, and there was this fun guy. We have to appreciate this Walmart. It was so stinking cute. Okay, but moving on, we made our way to a little place called Teller County. And it was there that we learned what our next destination would be. The Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center. Wolves have always been some of my favorite animals, so this was an absolutely magical moment to be standing like 20 feet away from one. Do you see this heartbreaking map? These tiny little colored bits here and there are the only parts of America where wolves are still like found in the wild. Want to know what's on the other side of that board that I inconveniently forgot to take a photo of? A fully colored board of America. This part of the trip definitely helped me realize how much of an impact we have on the world around us. We learned a lot about how to be aware of keeping wildlife safe, and then got to meet some of these incredible animals. And we even got to howl with them. And there was even a cute little surprise cat in the gift shop. And speaking of gift shopping, it's currently the holiday season, and if you're like me, you've got some last minute gift shopping you gotta do. But there's so many questions. What do you get your pun-loving dad? What do you get your friend who always insists they get the best gifts and you can never top it off, but just you wait, Kathy, for this year? I know the solution for every single one of these questions. Well, shirt. What was it again? Oh yeah, Well Shirt has a little bit of everything for everybody. Does the gym rat in your life need some new gear to get absolutely jacked in? Boom! Well Shirt has it all from bags to water bottles. Do you know a top-notch gamer who's needing a new mouse pad? Boom! Ah, duckets. Well Shirt even has coasters. A personal favorite of mine is the serial killer design that I plan on buying a sweatshirt for this winter season. And it's your lucky day, holiday shoppers, because if you use code MissyDoPop, you get 5% off your whole order. I repeat, code MissyDoPop, all caps, all one word, gets you 5% off at checkout. So click the link down below in my description and hop on over to Well Shirt after this video and take a look at this fantastically punny catalog for yourself. Now, it's time for day 3. After a nice muffin breakfast on the back balcony, we were on the road again. This time we were headed towards Manitou Springs, to a castle. This castle visit was more of a surprise for my brother, where he had a tea party with my mom. But while they were wearing fancy hats, my dad and I explored the museum parts of this castle. During the season that we visited, there was a firefighter museum down in the bottom of this castle, which was pretty cool. Not only was there an exhibit in the basement, but the whole castle was restored, and was a museum itself. It told the history of the castle, and what it was all used for, what it used to look like. It was really cool. After our spur of royalty at the Miramont Castle, it was time for a Wild West horse ride through the Garden of the Gods. We made our way to Colorado Springs and stopped at the Academy riding stables. I don't have any footage of the horse riding because I did not trust myself to not drop my phone off of the horse. But it was one of my favorite parts of the whole trip because I would look around and be so mystified by the world around me. I look to my left and there's a deer just standing and eating flowers in someone's yard. I look to my right, there's a bunny that waited for all of us to pass before it crossed the street. I look up ahead and boom! There's amazing naturally made views. I felt so immersed in the world around me, and it made me feel really grateful to have this experience. And as someone who was admittedly a horse girl when they were younger, this was such a dream come true. You know, nobody warns you how much back pain you're gonna have though. To ease this back pain, we headed back to Manitou Springs and visited the local downtown shops. We browsed all the cool trinkets, ate amazing fudge, and there were so many street performers. It was such a friendly place, and even with lots of tourists here to visit, it felt so serene and nice. We hit up the Penny Arcade and my dad was rolling in tickets. I really enjoyed this part of the trip because I simply got to spend time with my family, which is something you really learn to appreciate as you grow older and time just keeps on moving faster. It was our second to last day in Colorado, and we really just wanted to take in the nature around us. To start off the day, we hiked in the backyard, which honestly was more like the backwoods. After we had woken up a little bit, it was time for one of our final destinations, Cripple Creek. Cripple Creek is a small town with a population of about 1,100 people. This town started off as a gold town at the base of Pikes Peak. Out of the 500 mines that were found throughout this mining town, about 11.2 billion current US dollars were mined. That is a lot of money. Eventually, when the gold started to run out, the town neared abandonment until gambling was legalized, and then it became a casino and tourism town. We learned all of this while taking a train ride around the outskirts of Cripple Creek. We learned that this town suffered from 2 tremendous fires that were merely 4 days apart. The first fire was on April 25th, 1896, which was started between a couple fighting. During this fight, an oil lamp was thrown at a set of curtains and the fire was set ablaze. It burnt up half the town, and before the other half could even think about what to do, the rest of the town was set ablaze by a stovetop fire. That is so sad. But we shook aside our shock and enjoyed the rest of the trip. After our ride, we explored the town, hoping to find some good food to eat. And that was where we made our new friend.
He's on the sidewalk. Oh my gosh.
After new bonds of friendship were formed and our stomachs were filled, our parents surprised us with the final event of the day, a tour of the Cave of the Winds. During this tour, I learned a lot about different cave formations. We learned that when people would mine through this cave, they would have to army crawl through it because the tunnels were so narrow. I don't know about you guys, but that would make me so claustrophobic. Oh, and there was this Oogie Boogie formation that just tickled me pink. By the time we made it out of the other side of the cave, a crazy rain had taken Manitou Springs by storm. Literally. We were stuck in that gift shop stopped for a good half hour before we could even think of leaving. But once the weather died down a bit, we headed back to our cabin, prepared to enjoy the final night in the centennial state of Colorado. We ended the day by watching the Miraculous movie on Netflix, and oh boy. Oh man, I didn't think it could get any worse. What a disservice to my family's comfort show. I mean, honestly, it did solve some plot holes, but we were not expecting it to be a musical. Honestly, I could make a whole video just about this movie right here. But before I get carried away, we headed off to bed and we enjoyed our last sleep in Colorado. One last walkthrough. It rained a lot last night. That's where I met the chipmunk. Right here. The air smells so fresh. I never got to use that because it rained. Never actually gone up this way before. First we're going this way. Did you come to say goodbye? I saw the chipmunk. And this was it. It was the last day of our trip. It was pretty bittersweet leaving. We were all ready to be home and to sleep in our own beds and see our dogs again, but it was also really hard to say goodbye. This week had become a new way of life that we fell in love with. Heck, Grunty has been begging to move ever since. To end off our trip, we visited a few more nature-centered spots, just enjoying the natural beauty of the land. And then we did a little hiking through the Garden of the Gods. Here's the kissing camels. I think we were all pretty done at this point though, so with one final look at the mountains, we headed home. Over this last year, I've learned that sometimes these breaks are exactly what we need to heal our souls and appreciate the world around us again. This trip took place during a really rough period in my life, and it made me cling to that hope that there's so much hope in the world. Sometimes during rough days, I close my eyes and I imagine the rustling of the winds through the trees. I take deep breaths, and I try to remember the clean, tree-smelling air. I hear the birds chirping, and the water rushing in all the rivers. I hear happy laughter and all sorts of music filling the air. And I just feel grateful to have a chance to live on our incredible earth.